Okay, well, I don't usually do videos about anything other than role-playing, and this is really just for people looking for information about installing and the details of the Samsung 650 soundbar. I'm not really going to do a review per se, but I'm going to show you the bits and pieces in it. The first thing that I want to show you, and the bit that really I spent a lot of time thinking about, was these guys right here. The soundbar actually comes with brackets. So maybe everybody knows that that happens. In the olden days, back when I had the previous soundbar, they came with brackets and they were big things. And now either like it's just assumed that they'll come with brackets, and I'm just dumb and I didn't know that, or alternatively it's because this is actually a feature, but it's not well publicized. In either case, if I'd known that to start with, I would have probably pulled the trigger on buying this a lot sooner. But I was trying to figure out how I was going to mount it on the wall, find the right type of bracket. So first thing to know, 650 comes with mounting brackets. Now, it's got these big holes here like this in it, and so what you'll do is this will go underneath the soundbar, and then this will go in it like this, and then it'll hold it on the wall like that. Now, you're not really going to know what I'm doing exactly here, but suffice to say, you'll need 2 screws and 2 wall anchors to hold these guys onto the wall. And then once you've put that in, you will just be able to slot it on there. There's a couple of little screws here, which you won't be able to see, but which you can take my word for exist. And they go on the bottom of the soundbar, and you can use those to stop it from falling off, I guess. So in the box, you've got a subwoofer right here. It feels quite heavy, like I don't know exactly whether that means anything or not. But I know back in the day, whenever I was looking at speakers, like if I wanted to try and get some sort of sense of how good they are, I would generally go by how much they weigh. The heavier they are, the thicker the walls are, and the more faithfully they'll reproduce the sound. Obviously, that's not an absolute rule, but in general, if a speaker feels really light, then chances are there are some pretty, then the components may not necessarily be super good. It might be perfect for your purposes, but I know for myself that if I pick up a speaker and it's reasonably hefty, it means that there's reasonably thick walls, which is important for a subwoofer. But the same is also true for even your smaller satellite type speakers, which of course the system doesn't have, but you might find yourself in a second-hand shop or something like that maybe one day, like at Salvation Army or something. Oh, I need some speakers from my garage. Go by whichever ones are the heaviest. If they're all of a similar price, that's a pretty good indication of the quality of the speaker. Anyway, also in the box is the remote control, which comes with some sweet Mustang maybe this is like a stylized G. Anyway, some batteries, AA's. I guess they bought the cheapest batteries there were and put them in. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of energy in them. Here's the remote. It's got a separate remote control. If you've got a television that takes care of all of that type of stuff, then maybe you won't even use it. But one thing to note about this is, and I was like prodding away at it like an idiot until I realized that the volume thing is actually a rocker. It goes up and down, so you've got to press it up and press it down, and then press it in to mute it. At least that seemed to be what was happening in the shop. I assume the same thing is true with the subwoofer. But there you go. So the subwoofer has got this plastic on the back here. My assumption is that I'll be pulling that off so that it's got some venting. I don't think that's a design feature, having a piece of plastic back there. It's probably just so during storage, or maybe during transport doesn't get dusted, or maybe in the factory itself, so some creature doesn't climb in there and then jump out and surprise you when you get home. You've also got the power for the subwoofer is contained within it. And there are these two plugs. They've got the space-saving feature on them. Whether that'll be useful to you or not, I don't know. But you'll see it's got a 90-degree plug for the wall, and also a 90-degree plug for the back of the unit itself. And this power block, just like for your laptop or whatever, this supplies the power to your soundbar. So you'll have to, put that behind your television or something somewhere. And that's really all the pieces that there are, except of course the soundbar itself. And I don't know what I don't know what wizardry they used to get it in here, but they put this little window here, which as far as I can see serves no practical purpose because you can't pull the soundbar out of there. So I think what you have to do is probably undo it like this and then pull it out. It's not very interesting, but there you go. That's what you get for a free YouTube video. And that'll be blowing out all the sounds, whatever. Okay, and then here's your soundbar itself. It is about 1 meter long, and it is so on the back here. It's got an auxiliary line in, so you could, I don't know, if you were like having a party or something like that, you could put your like a 3.5 connector in there. It's got a USB 5 volts power. I assume it's out. I can't imagine it needing to have more than one type of more than one type of power going in, but maybe. It's got a digital in, and amazingly, it comes with one. So if they try to sell you some extra cables at the shop, say, no, I'm good, I've got an optical cable in the box right there, it's for free. So don't buy one of those because it's got one. And they're all the same too, right? The light goes in one end and comes out the other end. There's no quality of cable that's going to necessarily make an appreciable difference. Unless you are an audiophile of some kind and would like to spend money on that. But anyway, you can also see the back here. Now I'm going to move a little closer, and I apologize if it goes out of focus, but right here you can see there's a, you can see the power goes in there, right here somewhere. And you can see that there's an HDMI out and an HDMI in. So if you want to put your sound in using that, like you've got some kind of setup that has that, I don't know if you can even necessarily even see that, but it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you there's one HDMI in and one HDMI out. There's also the power in, which comes from the box that you have. So one HDMI in, one HDMI out. You've got a USB 5 volt. I think that's going to be power out. So for example, if you have a, I don't know, if you want to power some other sort of music sort of a thing and put it in there, you can get 5 volts out of here with it. It's micro USB, right? So it's not USB-C, it's micro USB. There's an optical, digital optical, and that's basically it. So yeah, that's the thing itself. I would say, I mean, I don't know, 4 pounds maybe, something like that. I could be well wrong, so 2 kilograms or thereabouts. Yeah, about 4 pounds, 2 kilograms. But if you look at the specs, it'll say that. The main thing about the 650, and the reason why I bought it, is because it actually has, it's a 3.1 as opposed to being a 2.1. So for people that don't know what that stuff is, then what that means is that you've got a center channel, which means a speaker dedicated to things coming from the center, but also primarily associated with voices. And you've also got some speakers down here at this end, which is going to be your, as you look at the television, your left channel, and this one here is going to be your right channel. And so that is what the difference between this and, say, for example, I think the 550. Like if you look at the R650C or even the R50C, maybe, those are 2.1s. So if you're the sort of person who maybe is a little hard of hearing or has trouble picking out voices when you've got stuff on, if you've got a soundbar that's only 2.1, you may find you have to have the volume up really, really loud in order to be able to hear people talking well. But then as soon as any music comes on or any sort of background ambience, it becomes really quite difficult to listen. It becomes really, really loud. So a 3.1 might be the way to go. And I bought this from London Drugs in Canada for $300 Canadian. So you probably get that way cheaper in America. And anyway, the last little thing I wanted to show you about this is that unlike other soundbars, which often have controls on the top, which is great if you've put it on a little TV stand, you've got a TV below it. Not so good if you mount it under your television, which is what I intend to do. Fortunately, instead of having the controls up here, where you're going to kind of try and squeeze your hand between the television and the top of this, the controls are actually on the end. So you can see there, that you've got the various bits on the end. You've got your power, you've got your sort of change in, and you've got your plus and your minus. I think they're actually little switches and fancy shapes, but anyway, that's all the bits that you get inside the box. Except my favorite piece of the whole thing, which is this guy. You're going to get this tiny little piece of, for whatever reason, packaged in foam. You're going to get this bit of paper right here, and as soon as I saw it, I was quietly hopeful that it was what I thought it was. And this actually is a template. And this template right here is so that you can stick this to your wall. You can go back, stand back, admire where you're going to put it, and then you can make sure you get your screw holes in exactly the right spot. Nobody really wants to make holes in their wall, but if you have to, for like mounting a soundbar, for example, then this will mean you get it in exactly the right spot. So these holes on the piece of paper correspond with the holes on the bottom of your soundbar. I would suggest that when you put it up, you pull it pretty tight, which may be a little bit of a challenge. It looks to me like it's actually got a sticky end here. So at this end of it, you've actually got a little bit of double-sided tape. I don't know if maybe the person at the factory missed it at the other end, but there's no double-sided tape at the other end here. So you might have to put a little bit extra tape on, or maybe you can pull this little piece of tape that was holding it on there and then turn it around or something like that. But a huge thumbs up to Samsung. For a little piece of paper like this, this is awesome, right? This will make sure that installing it is very, very easy. So that's really all I've got to say about that. I mean, I listened to it in the shop and it sounded okay. Like I said, I'm not an audiophile, but some key takeaways from it I should say, comes with brackets. Don't worry about buying one of the fancy brackets that dangles down onto the back of your television or something like that, unless you're really opposed to putting some holes in your wall. I would say probably filling a couple of screw plug holes is easier than taking your television off your wall and then mounting up another bracket, buying another bracket, putting it on there, but your mileage may vary. And it comes with batteries for your remote control, and it comes with your template, and then the subwoofer here, no wires required. Okay, so it talks to itself using Bluetooth. You can use other devices to talk with Bluetooth, and it'll also talk to television and stuff with Bluetooth. Anyway, the top of my head may have been missing for this whole video, but hopefully if you are considering buying one, it's not exactly a review in as much as I don't tell you if it sounds good. It sounded fine in the shop, but what it is hopefully informative for people trying to make a decision about what to buy, what they might need to do in order to be able to mount it, and all that sort of thing. So, sorry it's not a role-playing video. If you are into role-playing as well, you can check out my other videos, and good luck putting it up. I think it should be relatively straightforward, and I'll give you an update if that turns out to not be the case.